Bring in Matt Shay, President and CEO of the National Retail Federation. Matt, thanks for joining us. You're constantly in touch with retailers across the country. What are you hearing from them in terms of level of concern about consumers going out and spending?
Sarah, nice to be with you. Thanks. So we've been doing, really, our primary role as an association is to convene retail industry leaders. We've done that regularly over the past few weeks. In fact, we had about 7,000 visits to our website yesterday. We got a very robust information page with updates on the coronavirus on nrf.com. We did a call last week. We had several hundred retailers on with Dr. Nancy Messonnier of the CDC. And we've been sharing information and trying to exchange best practices. And I think it's been talked about a couple of times here. On the supply chain side, a variety of the companies we're talking to have given us indication that in many cases, their factories are back online, and they may not be at 100% capacity, but I spoke to someone in Hong Kong yesterday, major supplier, said 90% of their factories are up and running. They may be 30, 40, 50% capacity, but they're coming back. So the supply chain issue for many companies might end up being weeks rather than months. And, I think Stephanie got it right a little bit earlier in the segment when she said the big unknown here is the uncertainty about what this impact will be like. And if we can inject some certainty about that into the market, I think people are going to feel a greater sense of calm and ease about what happens next.
Matt, on the demand side, if we put aside the likes of the sort of hand sanitizers and Clorox wipes, do you get a feeling that this isn't totally lost demand and it just shifts between online and offline, or are we going to see a big drop-off across the broader retail sector?
Well, Wilf, that's an interesting question, and we've asked it both. I've talked to probably 24 CEOs in the past week, and we're also out in the field talking to consumers about that. And so I'll give you the CEO perspective first. Talked to a CEO of one brand in a certain category 2 days ago, and said, they're feeling some impact in that segment. And talked to another CEO yesterday morning, and he said, well, let me give you the other side of that trade. We're actually doing very, very well right now. So I think, obviously, you're going to see consumer spending shifting among certain categories, certain segments of the industry, and maybe even shifting among channels. And I guess that brings me to what consumers are telling us. We're out in the field with a substantial survey that went out earlier this week, and more than 85% of respondents thus far have told us they have not changed their shopping at this point in time, and that's only a couple of days old. And more than 80% indicated that even if this gets worse, they won't spend any less. So I think that suggests, sort of what you're inferring, that at the moment they're saying even if it gets worse, they won't spend less. They might spend differently, different channels, different segments, different products.
That is not what we're getting from the market, Matt. I mean, if you look at some of these big, sharp moves in some of these retailers getting slammed. And how about the mall-based retailers or the department stores, which were suffering before the onset of this coronavirus news started to spread? And what do you tell companies like that right now?
Well, I think the way to look at that is the way we look at other challenges and disruptions that have occurred across the industry over the past few years. And that is that, a strong economy is not distributed equally across all companies and doesn't result in equal levels of success for everyone. And so even in certain categories, in certain segments that might appear to be more or less challenged than others, there are going to be winners and losers. And when this ends, and this will subside, and we don't know when that'll be, and that's what's creating the uncertainty and the volatility, but when it does end, those companies that are well positioned will be even better positioned than their competitors. And those will be companies that have put in place strong engagement strategies, that have thought about investing in digital, that have put a real premium and an emphasis on supply chain fulfillment. And supply chain fulfillment's not about suppliers exclusively, it's about data. That's what drives supply chains and fulfillment. And they have the right executive team and the right vision for their brand. Those companies will take share away because at the moment we're in an environment in which people are taking share from others. So if we look out across the next year, if there's not robust growth, it'll be about capturing share from competitors. And those stronger companies will end up and emerge even more strong than they are now.